So, to create our first crayon, I'm going to use a rectangle. So I'm going to do the rectangle tool or pressing M on the keyboard. Okay, it doesn't matter the colors now, doesn't matter which color you use. I'm going to draw a rectangle, make it a little thinner. Okay, so I'm doing this by dragging while holding the pointer, the left click on this right handler. As you can see, the rectangle has some handlers. Okay, so I can drag it horizontally and vertically, only horizontally and only vertically. Control Z to move back. I'm moving across the artboard by holding the space bar and dragging with the left click. Okay, so we've created this rectangle, and also I'm zooming in and out by holding the Alt key and using the scroll. Of course, these shortcuts are for the tools right here, so it's the hand tool, but I don't like switching between them when I have the shortcuts, and the zoom tool. You can go in by clicking and go out by and zoom out by holding the Alt key. As you can see, it changes the pointer to a minus loop. Now I'm gonna switch back to my selection tool, my simple selection tool. That's by pressing V on the keyboard. Is this tool, the selection tool? It's actually very useful to get used to get um, used with the tools on the left side of the screen, because then you know a faster method of drawing and moving around on the artboard. Okay, so I'm gonna do the tip of the crayon now. So I'm gonna be doing a rectangle. Sorry, a triangle. I don't know why I'm always using this triangle instead of rectangle expression. Okay, so I'm going for the star tool. Okay, um, and then I'm going to do one click. So just one click there. I'm choosing 3 points, so enter 3 here. The rest you can leave them unchanged. Hit OK. Okay, so we have our first triangle. I'm gonna resize it by holding the Shift key. Okay, Shift actually permits scaling the um, object while keeping the form of the object. Now I'm going to align it centrally to the rectangle that I've created earlier. And I'm using the smart guides now. If you don't have the smart guides, you can press Ctrl U. And another thing I want to mention is that I'm on a PC. If you're a Mac, everything that is going to be Ctrl T, Ctrl U, or that has control in the keystroke combination, the control is going to be a command on the Mac. So if you're on a Mac, press the command button instead of the control. Also, if you have Alt in the keystroke combination, remember to press, I think, is Option, or the closest button to the spacebar. Okay, now the paths are aligned. I'm going to scale this horizontally only, so by reshaping the object, but I want it to scale centrally aligned. To do that, Ctrl Z, I am holding the Alt key and I'm dragging just the lateral handlers. Okay, so we have like a blueprint for our crayon. I'm gonna change the color. To change the color, you can go either on the left side, on the top left side, or in the swatches menu. These menus here on the right side are actually properties, transform properties, tools. Some of them are tools, some of them are properties, some of them are characteristics. You can find them all in the window menu and choose whichever you want to whichever of them you want it to be displayed on the right side. You can drag them, move them across, have them organized the way you want it. I just keep them hidden because I know the majority of them and I don't want it to be to take space on my view. Okay, so as I've said, I'm going to change the color to something lighter. Okay, and the color of the crayon also. Okay, to change the color, these are swatches, so these are saved colors. To change the color more in a more advanced way, you can double click any swatch. Okay, and you have this um, tiny menu here. You can use the preview to see what you are modifying. Okay, but of course you have to have something selected. Okay, you can use the preview to see the modifications, and if you drag these controls around, you'll see them modifying color. Of course, the color changes in the swatch menu also. If you hit the global, that means, and you can see it actually has a rectangle with a corner here. The swatches I can change. A global process color means this color, when applied to many shapes, when you change that specific color, if it's global of a global type, all the shapes that have that color change. Okay, I'm not gonna use the global size. Okay, I'm just the global type, sorry. Okay, so another way to modify the color is by double clicking or shift clicking. No, just double clicking. Don't shift click. Don't shift click the fill. Okay, by double clicking the fill in the left fairly bottom part of the screen, and now you can see the chromatic gradient, and you have many controls by which you can modify the color. Okay, now I'm going to close this. Okay, so I'm gonna enhance the tip a little bit. I'm gonna copy this triangle. There are many ways to copy a path. Control C, Control V is the most used one. I use also drag copy, so that is holding Alt key. As you can see, my pointer already changed to simulate a copy action. Now I'm dragging the path. So Alt, click and drag, and you have the path created. And you can also Control C, I'm pressing Control C now, and Control Shift V. What that did was to replicate the path in the exact uh, point that the original path was created. So Control C, Control Shift V, and you have it created in the same spot. Okay, I'm gonna do Control Z. I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm going to change the color of this one. let me see, let me go to something like this, black almost. Okay, you don't have to use the same colors as I do. You can use the same color you want. Okay, so now I have the path aligned, centrally aligned. I'm going to hold the shift key and drag downwards. Okay, shift restricts the form of the shape. Okay, maybe a little more. Alright, now I want this path, this top path, to be curved. To change that, I'm going to use the direct selection tool, so that is done by pressing the A on the keyboard or going to the tool on the left side of the screen. And you can see you have the shortcuts on almost every tool displayed. Okay, now I'm going to click the path, and you can see a different type of selection is shown, and I can see the anchor point. When you first click a path, every time you click on a path, the anchor points are all selected. So now click again on the middle anchor point, and you can see, I'm gonna zoom a little bit, you can see the other anchors are like hollow rectangles. That means they are not selected. Okay, only the middle one is selected. While holding the shift, I'm gonna drag it upwards, and now I'm going to switch to the anchor point tool, or by pressing shift C. Okay, don't try to memorize these tools. Um, you'll remember them as you use them. Don't bother memorizing them. Okay, but it is very helpful to know the shortcuts. I'm gonna drag it. Oops, Control C. Okay, I'm gonna drag it a little bit more. Okay, now if I hold the Alt key, I'm going to drag just one handle. I'm going to change one handle. Um, okay, I've aligned them. So if you have a path, I'm going to draw a line here. Oops. Make sure you have a stroke on the line. Okay, I'm going to the direct selection tool. Now, as you can see, the anchor points have no handles yet, because uh, they represent corners, so they don't have a round path. They don't describe a round path. To change that, Shift C, you change to the anchor point selection tool, and now you drag, as we've done already with our tip of the crayon. Now switch back to A, and you can see that you still see the handlers, and you can modify them. To modify only one of them, okay, so hold the Alt key, and you're gonna modify just one handler. Okay, I'm gonna delete that as well. Now let's apply some shadow. Okay, I'm going to use this rectangle. I'm gonna multiply it. I'm gonna make it smaller. Okay, I'm going to change the color of it to something darker. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm using the shift key here, so I'm holding the shift while dragging. Okay, actually I'm gonna drag it until the middle. Okay. If you don't have these guides, these smart guides, they are the green lines that you see displayed when you move a path close or in relation to other paths or objects in your artboard. So if you don't see these the smart guides, that means that in the view panel they are unchecked. So make sure you check the smart guides or press Ctrl U. Just remembering that, reminding you that. Okay, so um, now I'm going to go with the shadow on a tip tool. So Control C, Control V, or just drag, copy them, or whatever. Okay. Now, as you can see, the shape is bigger than the tip. There are several ways to adjust the shape so it only covers the tip. One of the simple way to do this is by copying. So I'm copying the rectangle that represents the tip of the crayon. Control C, Control Shift V, and now I am selecting both the newly tip, the newly created tip, and the rectangle. With both selected, go to the Pathfinder window and choose Intersect, and you have the paths intersected. So it's a good way to cut the paths using other paths. Now I'm gonna change the color to the original shadow. That I'm going to do by pressing I on a keyboard or by going to the eyedropper tool. The same thing. You can actually, by double clicking the some tools have properties, and you can access those properties by double clicking the tools in the left side of the screen. Okay, so by double clicking the eyedropper tool, we can see we have many properties that split on two categories. What does it pick up and what does it apply? So you can choose here if you don't want to, because it actually doesn't copy the color, it copies the style. Okay, as you can see, it also has the character style, the paragraph style. Okay, for now we leave those untouched. Okay, so with my path already selected, I'm going to click on the shadow. If I press the Alt key on another path, I'm going to copy the styles from my selected path to the next to be selected path. Control C. Okay. Now I want this sent backward. Control left bracket or right click it and choose arrange, bring to front, bring forward, send backward, etc. And you also have the shortcut keys displayed. Okay, now I want this shadow to be a little bit lighter. To do that, I'm going to the color menu, swatch options, and now I'm going to choose HSB, that stands for hue, saturation and black. Okay, so we have the same color, so here you have the same color, the same swatch represented in multiple control categories. Okay, and I want to bring the saturation with the preview selected. I want to bring the saturation downward a little bit and the blacks just so we can have a little bit of depth. Okay, but this crayon lacks a stroke just for the cartoon effect. So I'm gonna select the main body of the crayon, that is the main tip and the rectangle that composes the body, and choose a stroke effect. Okay, of 1 point. You can actually edit the stroke in a more advanced way by choosing the caps, the corners. Okay, we won't get into that in this tutorial. What happened here is that this path is a little bigger, so and in front of the stroke from the tip triangle. To, to change that, we're gonna make it a little smaller. And again, smaller from the left side. And maybe resize it a little bit. Adjustments. Adjustments, adjustments. Okay. Maybe this is actually... I'm double clicking the fill. Okay. Right. Actually, it creates too much of a contrast. Nah, better. Okay, so this is our first crayon.